There's something fundamentally different about Gen Z's experience with mental health, and it's not just that they talk about it more openly. This generation, born roughly between 1997 and 2012, is navigating a psychological landscape that no previous generation has encountered, and the data tells a stark story. Let's start with what we know. Gen Z reports the highest rates of anxiety and depression of any generation currently alive. Nearly half of Gen Z adults say they've been diagnosed with a mental health condition. But here's what's crucial to understand. This isn't simply because they're more willing to seek help or more aware of mental health issues. The stressors they face are fundamentally different in both kind and intensity. First, there's the digital native factor. Gen Z didn't just adopt technology, they were born into it. Many can't remember a time before smartphones, before social media, before constant connectivity. While every generation has had its struggles, Gen Z's adolescent brain development happened in an environment of perpetual comparison, curated perfection, and algorithmic feedback loops designed to capture attention at any cost. Think about what that means practically. A teenager from Generation X might have compared themselves to the popular kids at school. A Gen Z teenager compares themselves to thousands of idealized, filtered versions of reality every single day. The anxiety doesn't end when they leave school. It follows them home, into their bedrooms, into the quiet moments that previous generations used for mental rest and recovery. The research on this is sobering. Studies show correlations between heavy social media use and increased rates of depression, anxiety, and body image issues, particularly among adolescent girls. But it's not just about time spent online. It's about the nature of the interaction, the endless scroll, the dopamine hits from likes and validation, the fear of missing out that's been amplified to a global scale. Then there's the economic anxiety that Gen Z inherited. They came of age watching the 2008 financial crisis devastate their parents' generation. They've witnessed skyrocketing costs of education, housing, and healthcare while wages have stagnated. Many graduated high school or entered college during a global pandemic that upended every assumption about how life works. They're looking at a future where traditional markers of adulthood, owning a home, financial stability, seem increasingly out of reach. This isn't abstract worry, it's concrete stress about survival and security. Climate anxiety is another distinctly Gen Z phenomenon. While previous generations certainly cared about environmental issues, Gen Z is growing up with the very real sense that they're inheriting a planet in crisis. They're not just worried about polar bears or abstract future consequences. They're experiencing extreme weather events, seeing ecosystems collapse in real time, and wondering what kind of world will exist when they're middle-aged. That's a heavy psychological burden to carry alongside the normal stresses of growing up. The pandemic itself deserves special attention. For many in Gen Z, COVID-19 disrupted critical developmental years. Imagine missing your senior year of high school, starting college from your childhood bedroom, entering the workforce through a laptop screen. The isolation, the loss of rituals and milestones, the uncertainty, all of this hit during years that are already psychologically vulnerable. We're still understanding the full mental health impact of this collective trauma. But here's where it gets more complex. Gen Z is also the most diverse, most educated about mental health, and most willing to seek help of any generation. They've destigmatized therapy, normalized conversations about anxiety and depression, and created communities of support online. They're not suffering in silence the way previous generations often did. In some ways, the higher reported rates of mental health issues reflect this openness. They're naming what they're experiencing rather than hiding it. This generation has grown up with mental health awareness campaigns, with celebrities talking openly about their struggles, with resources that previous generations never had access to. They understand that mental health is health, that seeking support is a sign of strength, not weakness. This cultural shift is genuinely positive, even as the underlying struggles remain very real. Yet there's a paradox here. Despite more awareness, more vocabulary, more resources, Gen Z still faces significant barriers to care. Mental health services are often expensive, hard to access, and inconsistent in quality. Many young people know they need help, but can't afford therapy or can't find providers accepting new patients. The gap between awareness and access is its own source of frustration and hopelessness. There's also something to be said about the pressure of optimization culture. Gen Z has been told they can be anything, do anything, achieve anything if they just work hard enough, have the right morning routine, follow the right productivity hacks. The flip side of possibility is pressure. When you believe you can do anything, falling short feels like a personal failure rather than a natural part of being human. This perfectionism, this constant self-improvement project, becomes its own form of psychological stress. What makes Gen Z's mental health different, ultimately, is the convergence of all these factors: unprecedented digital exposure during critical developmental years, existential environmental threats, pandemic disruption, and the paradox of high awareness paired with limited access to care. It's not one thing, it's everything all at once, with no historical precedent to guide either the young people experiencing it or the adults trying to support them. Understanding this matters because the solutions need to be equally multifaceted. It's not enough to tell Gen Z to spend less time on their phones or to be more resilient. We need systemic changes, better access to mental health care, economic policies that provide stability and hope, meaningful action on climate change, and thoughtful regulation of the technologies that shape young people's inner lives. Gen Z's mental health crisis is a mirror reflecting the world we've created. Their struggles are real, their pain is valid, and their willingness to speak openly about it might just be the first step towards building something better.